webinar is also so much about problem solving in terms of impact, and that really matters to us. So Magic Bus started in 1999. We completed recently 25 years of our existence. We have, over a period of time, continue to work with at least 400,000 adolescents on life skills and 100,000 young people who go through our livelihood program. Our focus is on childhood to livelihood in enabling adolescents, young people make the journey all the way from 11 to 18 years and then beyond when we invest in youth skilling. I think what I'm going to talk about today in terms of measurement of impact is especially the different methods that we've deployed to measure life skills that have been introduced to adolescents through play-based methods. So there is a different lens that I'm taking, and of course some of the speakers in the first section also alluded to it, which is to say that either we focus on sport and physical activity itself as being the outcome, or you look at sports, experiential learning and play-based methods as a pedagogical approach, and the outcomes may be about life skills or other things. Either which way, one is looking at whether you look at sport itself and the conversation about Nike and the runners and the kind of impact it had on their lives. So whether it is sport as the starting point or whether it's sport as a pedagogy, you're still looking at transformation at the individual level or the ways in which they might contribute to their communities in the long term. So I think having said that, we have looked at play-based methods, experiential learning as a great vehicle to be able to talk about or impart life skills. The Magic Bus Life Skills Framework is 11 life skills, all the way from empathy, problem solving, collaboration. They're organized in the social, emotional, cognitive domains, 11 life skills, about 38 competencies, and they are delivered through schools to adolescents and starting with grade 6. So middle schools, upper primary levels, in such a way that when they're building their own thought process, ways of being and doing things, they are also equipped with skills for life and skills that will allow them to make better decisions, better choices, or apply themselves better. So we have looked at play-based methods as allowing more real-time experience. So a session typically has a structure which has an activity, and through that activity, adolescents are able to learn a range of skills because they actually go through the process, reflect on it. There are takeaways. Children think, interact, write about it. We also build something at the end of the session where they have a reflection sheet, which we call a magic sheet, where they talk about experiences similar to the ones that they had through the session. And that allows you to really process the information that they are learning. What indicators we measure? We actually measure life skills at the skill level, but we also measure aggregate indicators. So a range of life skills could contribute to an aggregated indicator like resilience or self-efficacy, which is at the higher level, but also other outcomes, which is student aspiration, gender attitude, school participation, regularity. Those are also the outcomes that we typically look at. Overall, if I mention, then if we look at across programs that Magic Bus does in any single year, like I said, that we work directly with 400,000 adolescents, and through our partnerships with a range of state governments in India, we would reach out through different school systems this year to about 1.6 million adolescents. What are we doing in both of these spaces is actually trying to understand at a transformation level, how are children learning? So you're measuring some things which are concurrent, qualitative, as some of my colleagues mentioned. These are also field assessment. These are also about experiences. This is also about how adolescents perceive their own, the way in which they are being equipped with life skills or how they are applying life skills. But at a slightly more objective level, we are also looking at measurement of competencies. And this is typically done through a situation judgment test. So similar situations, vignettes are prepared, and based on how children perceive those situations and the responses that they provide, you know what would an adolescent do in a similar situation if he or she is faced with it in their real life? So you're tracking competencies. Do I listen actively? Do I have respect? Do I have respect for diverse opinions? Do I problem solve? Do I seek help? So what is the competency I'm building when I move towards a skill called problem solving? And there are behavioral level outcomes as well, which are measured through teacher observations. It could be about class participation, ability to work with peers, seeking peer feedback, interaction, social dynamics and managing them, etc. How do we communicate results? So every year we release an annual impact report, because there are project level measures, but there are also organizational level measures. And at the level of the organization, we are also looking at aspects that across the board, did we equip adolescents with life skills across projects? And if I had to do a meta-analysis of all the data that is done for more than 100 projects, then what do I see in terms of perceived self-efficacy or resilience or gender attitude or school regularity? And typically, and I wouldn't say of any particular year, from the baseline to end line, we see 20 to 30 percentage point increase. So typically your baseline scores would be in the 50s and you would see end line scores. And this is after typically 3 years of intervention. You would work with grade 6, 7th and 8th, about 30 to 35 hours of learning. And that would give you the 30 percentage point change. When we work with the government, and which we do right now, it is also about how some of these measures can become a part of how education can be seen as measuring things beyond academic skills. So how is it about holistic education? How is it about, participatory methods and experiential learning? And how can a holistic report card start talking about measuring skills, which are higher level thinking skills or even social emotional skills? So the bullet points at the bottom of the screen are about the things that we communicate in terms of impact at the org level, but also at the project level. And some of them, as I said, are also measured on like a scale which could be gender or aspirations, or a student's own perception of how their ability to apply the skills that they have learned. Moving on, therefore, in the interest of time, what do we see as the way forward? We can connect, how do we connect the dots from play to broader life outcomes? I think there are a range of methods. There is the large-scale OECD study, and several of the practitioners, researchers have looked at different ways in which one can measure student life skills. As an extension of that, there is enough and more work on indicators of health and well-being as an extension of how I feel emotionally, and therefore how do I feel in terms of mental health outcomes. I think what needs attention is to try and look at if there are any correlations between the inputs we provide, activity-based methods, like what does this pedagogy do as opposed to any other pedagogy of delivering any other input, be it on health, sexual reproductive health, or it could be life skills. Second is, if children are equipped with life skills, what kind of an impact would it have on other indicators which are related to their life, aspiration levels, ability to pursue careers, to be able to negotiate gender conversations within homes, mental health outcomes, or even for that academic outcomes. One of the recent reviews that I was looking at, which was a desk review of this toss-up that one often has between what is more important, the method or the end in itself. And oftentimes the conversation moves to talking about, let's look at if the academic outcomes improved, or if the health outcome improved, and only then would the method or the means through which it happens would find its own value. I think that argument needs to be a little bit flipped on its head to be able to say that a lot of this work on sport, physical activity, experiential learning, activity-based input, and these kinds of pedagogies or even approaches are foundational to learning a range of different skills. And I think it's important to recognize that upfront, before saying this to be done towards this end, or physical activity and sports-based experiential learning is valuable only if it leads to something else in addition to the sports excellence or actual fitness or health indicators itself.